Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Propagandacast with me, Imperial Dane, straight from the Propaganda Ministry somewhere. And let's get on to this little match, a 2 versus 2 on Wolfhetze. Yes, indeed, we are talking about... No, not Wolfhetze, bloody hell, why did I say Wolfhetze? It's because I've seen so many replays on it, and I didn't get around to it because I thought this was a bit more interesting and a bit shorter since I'm a bit busy today. No, this is Rails and Metals, not Wolfhetze. Wolfhetze will come later in the week. I promise there are some interesting matches there, in fact. Matches. And nonetheless, let us get on with this. This is of course Rails and Metals. Metals, very good classic map. Of course, this point here being the central point of dominance for the entire area. Some changes have been made right here to make it a little less easy to defend also here, but that's about it really in terms of changes on the map as far as I'm aware. Otherwise, no, I do believe that's also been changed. In fact, some small wooden fences have been pruned out by Relic. Otherwise, we have the victory points, the fuel points, all covered by buildings in one manner or another. And who shall be fighting? Well, in the upper corner we have Kampfgruppe Vexial with Hauptmann Slaithium to help them out. Of course, the interesting question will be, will they succeed, and what shall they be opposed from? They shall be opposed by Squaloke and CombatMuffin, Major Muffin, and yes, Captain Squaloke's combined American force under the command of Major Muffin. Yes, charming name, and certainly the British have been second for support of the 1st Infantry Division as they make their way towards something. What though I can't say, but it shall be interesting nonetheless. And in fact, let's get on with this instead of just talking about it. And looks like we are seeing some, well, reconnaissance sections on the move. Wehrmacht quarters start and pioneers, usual thing from the Kampfgruppe in the north. And we're also seeing a barrage start, so that's certainly not a bad move. So I mean we're going to see a much more aggressive American who's not just going to be hanging around and possibly just be supporting the British player, but might be a bit bold and try to apply some pressure from numerous sides, and might also be a bit more helpful in actually helping the British. But we'll have to see how that works out. Wehrmacht quarters is up, and we will be seeing a Volksgrenadier teams as the first out from Vexial. Not entirely sure what Slaithium will be doing. Wait, we will be seeing some riflemen from there, and we are seeing a 2nd infantry section out for the British. A bit interesting, actually. Usually see an officer or a Bren carrier in some cases, since well, the officer can move around in neutral and hostile territory, of course, because well, he's not so reluctant as the regular British troops were, and they were quite reluctant. In fact, they were a bit dependent on their junior officers to carry things forward. So that's of course something you rarely hear about, but you heard it from here in case you didn't know. Pioneers marching forwards, all hoping to gain access to this area and of course this central building. Pioneers coming under fire from the reconnaissance section, sitting up behind this wrecked pickup truck, and looks like those pioneers are in a small race towards that building, but looks like the recon section will be winning and getting in. One pioneer is in fact killed during the process. Volksgrenadiers joining in, and we are seeing a Bren carrier moving forwards. Looks like these troops will be getting aboard. Yes, indeed, British troops will gain some protection. In fact, they will be untouchable by most things in there for some reason, which panzer grenadiers and infantry half-tracks don't actually gain. In fact, they become in some cases more vulnerable. But nonetheless, also, troops can in fact seize territory, albeit they gain it at a penalty. So that's something to be noted. Volksgrenadiers moving about, not looking good. Americans applying pressure alongside that Bren carrier with British troops in it, and in fact that's one change that has been made to this. Usually in the previous patch you could in fact repair the Bren carrier when troops were in it. You can no longer do that. In fact, you will have to get your British troops out of it before you can, so it will be rendered completely helpless when doing so. And we're seeing the truck moving in, but the territory is being seized. Might in fact be rendered neutral, which in case will render this a much harder task, and of course render the British command headquarters a bit less useful and inert. So there you go, small victory for Vexial as he's certainly delaying the British, leaving them behind only with a few infantry sections and a Bren carrier. And that headquarters command track won't be doing anything for the moment. Pioneers hanging about a bit, unsure what to do. The MG42s joining in. Further Volksgrenadiers being marched forward to the front. And we're seeing those riflemen taking quite a bit of fire. They're awfully close to the MG42. In fact, looks like they will have to get out of there unless they're cut to ribbons. And apparently one does manage to get out of there. Brent carrier moving up towards the flank with infantry sections on board. And we are seeing riflemen flanking this entire ensemble, and they will have to get out of there before they are completely taken out. And looks like this headquarters command truck will finally be able to set up. So that's a very nice move there. Certainly the German forces were able to delay them a bit, but they will have to retreat in the meanwhile while the Americans and British are occupied here. German pioneers are swift to seize the territory in the west, so quite interesting there. Volksgrenadiers being reinforced and swiftly going for the Creek barracks as well. But does look like he might have lost one Volksgrenadier team. A bit tragic though. And looks like the British are preparing for something here, at least, albeit again they have been quite delayed. They will be having a lot of manpower though, so that's not entirely going to hold them back. Mortar emplacement going up here, certainly not a bad move. And we're also seeing barbed wire being laid down to make this more defensible, and of course deny any troops cover in case they are trying to take this place again. Not a bad idea. Brent carrier sneaking about now with no troops in it. Might get upgraded with the Vickers, might not. German troops are preparing again for a fresh assault. Volksgrenadiers and a sniper now joining into the fun. Quite interesting. And we are seeing a Panzerfaust flying away towards the Brent carrier. Brent carrier taking quite a bit of damage. And just as it got the Vickers upgrade, oh dear, will it get out in time? Just looks like it barely will. We are seeing the British laying down a Vickers machine gun emplacement as well, but a bit too close to the front line, I fear, and it will be knocked out. There we go. I'm not entirely sure if they manage to cancel it, otherwise that manpower will be lost. And Brent carrier receiving some self-repairs swiftly. American infantry once more moving in to flank the German assaulting force. Not a bad move. Volksgrenadiers having to get out of there, having taken quite a heavy losses. Attacking over the open ground. Rifleman team is cut down, and we are seeing an assault going off, indicating Vexial has gone for blitzkrieg and dumping them right into the trench, doing quite a heavy load of damage to those British infantrymen, stunning them and killing even a few. Very good use of the assault grenades. In general, if you're seeing British infantry or any infantry clumped up, then assault grenades can be used hopefully for some good effect. But looks like the Volksgrenadiers will have to get out of there despite their barrage of grenades doing quite a bit of damage. Heavy machine gun coming under severe mortar fire from that mortar pit, and that machine gun might want to retreat from there. And we are seeing some harassment attempts in the west by those pioneers. Not bad, but as long as one headquarters is connected to most of the territory, it won't rather matter that one is cut off. So that's of course good to know. Sniper though, awfully exposed, will have to get out of there, and there we go, but is counter-sniped by the reconnaissance section marksman. Not good at all. And Brent carrier once more marching forwards, getting close to those Volksgrenadiers who might fire Panzerfaust, unless of course they get mortared, which certainly will compel them to pull back. I said compel them to move back, but apparently not. Desperately holding the position, mortar round continuing to fly down, machine gun fire, and further Tommy sections moving forward and losing the Volksgrenadiers. Slaithium was certainly a bit careless there. And we are seeing a Kampfgruppe center going up for the Wehrmacht, and we're also seeing the assault phase also being researched at the same time. Quite a lot of things going on at the same time, but stopping the Kampfgruppe center right away. Will he be going for the Sturmarmory? Yes, indeed, that's a bit curious. Starting the Kampfgruppe center, but not finishing it, instead going straight for the Sturmarmory. Well, we'll have to see how that goes. Volksgrenadiers once more leading the charge. Not entirely sure what Slaithium is up for. Also a Sturmarmory, but he's lacking a bit more in infantry after the loss of that infantry team there. Brent carrier once more a bit to the front. American and British forces slowly pushing forward, and looks like they have the advantage for the moment, but of course Sturmarmories might spell some very nasty things for them. We're still seeing only a barracks and a triage center for the Americans though. No support or anything, but we are seeing engineers moving forwards, laying down mines and swiftly retreating once more. Might want to be starting some supply center or something like that. We are seeing BARs being equipped though, Riflemen charging straight into Volksgrenadiers, but the Volksgrenadiers are deftly covered by the MG42, forcing the riflemen into a retreat. And we are seeing some infantry section members moving in towards this nice piece of cover. Mortar rounds hitting the Volksgrenadiers, MG42 firing away. But remember, heavy cover actually to a large part negates suppression fire, so your troops won't get so easily suppressed. That can be used, for example, had it been the other way around. They, for example, had been standing there and there was an MG42 in here. They could have used that to their advantage. Bren carrier charging straight at this MG42, taking quite a bit of fire in the process, but it managed to get around. But of course, a single shot from a Panzerfaust, of course, continued its fire. And oh dear, there we go. Bren carrier blown apart, crew members sent flying to all sides. Horrific. And Volksgrenadiers once more leading the assault, but quickly retreating again. MG42 all being there to cover. And looks like we're seeing Bren gunners and a reconnaissance section charging in with the support of an officer who has reached veterancy 1. British troops are suppressed though, and we're seeing assault being once more used. Volksgrenadiers lobbing all of their grenades, but it is rendered useless as the British troops are retreating, spotting the assault usage. So not a bad move there. Americans continuing their offensive towards the west. We have a fuel point with an observation post, but it is awfully undefended and will probably be cleared out. And Volksgrenadiers are not in a good position, heavily wounded. They will have to get out of there very quickly before they are killed. Oh dear, Mr. Slaithium, get your men out of there. There we go, but Volksgrenadiers are being cut down on the retreat. MG42 also into a hasty retreat, leaving only Vexial to actually hold the line. And what are we seeing? Numerous Nebelwerfers being prepared. In fact, we already have one, and it looks like they will be bombarding these rather dense British positions, which is certainly not a bad way to deal with it, in fact. So if you are seeing a British really digging in at some point, really having a blob of infantry, get a Nebelwerfer and begin bombarding him out. Will do quite a bit of damage. And look there, one infantry section is in fact quite close to death. In fact, there we go, scorched by the Nebelwerfer. They shall not be returning, except in a pine box, and that is in that case the British Isles. And we are seeing further Nebelwerfers moving in. 3 Nebelwerfers constituting a very small battery of them, in fact, continuing to hammer away at the British positions, doing quite a bit of damage. And looks like something has reached orbit but has landed again. And we are seeing a Stuke 4 joining into the fun. At the same time, we are seeing a SAMR team laying down the foundation for 25-pounder gun howitzer. We'll be able to join in with some rather heavy artillery, but this Stuke will at the moment be rather unopposed. And we are seeing artillery being summoned in towards the British positions. Captain Squaloke is not looking in a happy position as firestorm rockets are blasting towards, which will certainly indicate that Mr. Slaithium has gone for the terror doctrine, really giving him some extra rockets filled with incendiary goodness. Mind you, firestorm rockets don't actually do any after damage, that's only Nebelwerfers, but still quite nasty. Not looking good for the Allied forces here, and the Americans are pushing towards here in the west. And will might likely be able to clear out this MG42. Will the riflemen seize it? I cannot say, but Nebelwerfer rockets are continuing to bombard this position. 25-pounder continuing to be constructed. And we have some engineers here with a flamethrower rifleman now joining in. These ones have apparently forgotten. No, they might be going for the MG42.